The Galactic Defense Academy floated high above Earth in a giant ring called Vanguard Prime. Every day, thousands of young people trained there to become officers in humanity's space fleet. They came from rich colony worlds, from cities on Mars, from stations near distant stars. Almost all of them had something extra. Faster muscles from gene changes, sharper eyes from implants, or brains wired to think quicker. They were built to win wars among the stars. Laura Bennett was not like them. She came from a small farm town on Earth called Willow Creek. No one in her family had ever left the planet. Her parents grew corn and fixed old machines. Laura had plain brown hair, plain brown eyes, and a body that looked normal in every way. No shiny implants under her skin. No doctor had ever opened her genes to make her stronger. She got into the academy only because she studied hard and scored just high enough on the entrance tests. The rules said they needed a few baseline humans, people with no changes at all, to keep things fair. That was the only reason her name appeared on the list. From the first day, people noticed her. In the big training hall, cadets lined up in gray uniforms. The instructors shouted orders. Laura stood at the end of her row, trying to look straight ahead. A tall boy named Ethan Hayes stood next to her. He had silver lines under his eyes from reflex boosters. He looked down at Laura and smiled in a way that was not friendly. "Baseline," he said quietly. "You sure you're in the right place?" Laura did not answer. She kept her eyes on the instructor. Next to Ethan stood Olivia Grant. She had long red hair and arms that could lift 3 times her weight, thanks to muscle weaves. Olivia laughed under her breath. "She'll wash out by week 2, she whispered to Ethan. "Watch." The first test was simple. Carry a heavy power pack across the room 10 times. The pack weighed as much as 2 grown men. Augmented cadets picked it up like it was a school bag. They ran back and forth, sweating only a little. When it was Laura's turn, she bent her knees, gripped the handles, and pulled. The pack moved, slowly. Her face turned red. Her arms shook. By the 5th trip, her legs felt like fire. On the 8th trip, she dropped the pack. It hit the floor with a loud bang. The whole hall went quiet for a second. Then laughter started. Not loud at first, but it grew. Ethan clapped slowly. "Nice try, baseline," he called. Others joined in. Someone shouted, "Ho back to the farm." Laura picked up the pack again. She finished the last 2 trips. When she set it down the final time, her hands bled from the rough handles. She wiped them on her pants and walked back to her place in line. No one said sorry. No one helped. That night in the sleeping quarters, Laura sat on her narrow bed. The room was dark, except for the soft blue light from the walls. She looked at her hands. Small cuts still stung. She thought about home, the quiet fields, her mother's kitchen, the way the sun looked gold at sunset. She could go back. She could quit tomorrow, and no one would blame her. But something inside her said no. She had not come this far to run away. The next weeks were hard. Combat drills came every morning. In the zero-gravity chamber, cadets fought with shock batons. The batons gave a sharp electric sting, but did no real harm. Laura's opponents moved like lightning. Ethan would dance around her, tap her shoulder, then jump away before she could swing. Olivia liked to block Laura's strikes and push her into the wall. Jacob Torres, the cadet everyone said would graduate first, never even tried hard against her. He blocked once or twice, then stood still, and let her hit him just so the instructors would end the match. "Good effort," Jacob said once, wiping pretend sweat from his face. "You almost got me that time." The others laughed again. In the classroom they studied ship weapons, alien languages, battle tactics. Laura took notes in a small black book. She asked questions when she did not understand. Most cadets rolled their eyes. One instructor, a gray-haired woman named Captain Ruiz, sometimes looked at Laura with something close to pity. But she never gave her extra help. One afternoon in the mess hall, Laura sat alone at a corner table. She ate slowly, protein paste and green vegetables from the hydroponic gardens. Ethan and his friends walked past. He stopped and leaned on her table. "You know why you're here, right?" he said. "Quota. They need one sad little unmodified human to make the forms look good. That's all." Her voice was calm. "Maybe, but I'm still here." Ethan laughed. "For now." Olivia leaned in. "Bet you don't last till midterm tests. 10 credits says she quits before then." Jacob shook his head. "I'll take that bet. She's stubborn. She'll stick around just to prove us wrong. But she'll still fail." They walked away, still laughing. Laura finished her meal. She went back to the study room and opened her books. The station lights dimmed for night cycle. Most cadets slept or talked in their rooms. Laura read until her eyes burned. She learned the weak points of Krathar armor. She memorized the range of pulse rifles. She drew maps of battle formations in her notebook. Days turned into weeks. The jokes never stopped, but Laura stopped hearing them as much. She focused on one thing: getting better. Every morning, she woke early and ran laps in the lower corridors when no one watched. She lifted small weights in the empty gym until her arms ached. She practiced baton swings against a training dummy until her shoulders screamed. She was still the weakest in every test. She still lost every spar. But each day she lasted a little longer. Each day she moved a little faster. No one noticed the change except her. Then came the day of the big simulation. The training deck was huge, a wide-open space with floors made of special alloy that could take hits from heavy weapons. Holographic projectors filled the room with fake enemies. Safety systems kept everything under control. Or so everyone thought. Laura's team got the hardest slot, a swarm attack by Krathar raiders. Ethan was squad leader. He pointed to positions. "You," he said to Laura, "stay at the back. Guard the rear. Try not to die too fast." Laura nodded. She held her training rifle tight. The lights dimmed. The holograms appeared, tall, sharp aliens with blades for arms. The simulation began. The team moved together. Ethan shouted orders. Olivia broke through the front line. Jacob covered the sides. Laura stayed back, firing careful shots. Then something went wrong. A power surge ran through the deck. The holograms flickered. The threat level jumped. The fake blades suddenly felt solid. Real force pushed against the team. Safety alarms should have screamed. They did not. A huge holographic blade swept down toward the group. The augmented cadets jumped aside with their fast reflexes. Ava Ramirez, a small first-year cadet, froze in fear right in its path. Laura saw it happen. Without thinking, she ran forward. She threw herself between Ava and the blade. She raised her bare hand. The blade hit. A sound like thunder filled the deck. The floor cracked. A long, jagged line tore through the metal. 30 meters of solid alloy split open like paper. Sparks flew. Lights flashed red. The simulation shut down hard. Everyone stopped. They stared at the broken floor. They stared at Laura. She stood there, breathing hard, her hand still out. No blood, no burn. Just a girl with normal skin who had done the impossible. The laughter was gone. The training deck still smelled of hot metal and burnt wires. Red emergency lights flashed slowly across the broken floor. The long crack ran from one wall almost to the other, jagged and deep, like someone had taken a giant axe to the ship's belly. Smoke rose in thin curls from the edges. The holographic projectors had gone dark. The fake Krathar raiders were gone. Only silence remained. Laura stood in the middle of it all. Her hand was still out, fingers open, as if she expected the blade to come back. Her chest moved up and down fast. Sweat ran down her face. She looked at the split in the deck, then at her own palm. No cut, no bruise, nothing, just normal skin. Around her, the other cadets did not move. Ethan Hayes stood frozen, his mouth half open. Olivia Grant held her shock baton so tight, her knuckles turned white. Jacob Torres blinked many times, like he could not believe his eyes. Ava Ramirez, the small first-year who had frozen, sat on the floor a few steps away. Her legs shook. She stared at Laura like she had seen a ghost. Captain Ruiz ran in first. She was the lead instructor for combat training. Her boots stopped at the edge of the crack. She looked down into the dark gap, then up at Laura. "Bennett," she said. Her voice sounded sharp but calm. "Step back, slowly." Laura lowered her hand. She took 2 steps back. Her shoes scraped on the broken metal. Small pieces of alloy fell into the hole with tiny clinks. Medics came next. 2 of them in white suits carried a scanner box between them. They knelt near Laura. "Hold still," one said. He ran the scanner over her arm, her hand, her whole body. The machine beat softly. Green lights stayed green. No radiation. No hidden tech. No damage. The second medic looked at the readings. "She's clean. Not even a scratch." Captain Ruiz turned to the control booth high above the deck. "Shut down all power to this section. Lock it. No one in or out until engineering gets here." A voice answered over the speakers. "Understood. Section sealed." More people arrived. Engineers in gray jumpsuits, senior instructors, even a few officers from Fleet Command who happened to be on the station that day. They walked around the crack carefully. One engineer dropped to his knees and touched the broken edge. He pulled his hand back fast. "This alloy is rated for starship hulls," he said. "It takes a plasma torch set to full power to cut it like this, and it's 30 meters long. Perfect split, no melting, just torn." Everyone looked at Laura again. She felt their eyes like heavy weights. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to run back to her room and hide under her blanket. But she stood straight. She kept her hands at her sides. She did not cry. She did not speak. Ethan broke the silence first. He stepped forward. His voice sounded small. "What the hell was that, Bennett?" Laura met his eyes. "I don't know." Olivia laughed once, short and nervous. "You don't know? You just split the damn floor with your hand, like it was cardboard." Jacob shook his head slowly. "That blade had real force bleed through. I felt the air move. It should have cut her in half." Ava stood up on shaky legs. She walked to Laura. Her voice was quiet. You jumped in front of me. Thank you." Laura nodded once. "You're okay. That's what matters." Captain Ruiz raised her hand. "Enough talk. Everyone to medical for checks. Bennett, you come with me." They walked out together. The cadets followed in a line. No one joked, no one laughed. The usual noise of the academy felt far away. In the medical bay, doctors checked Laura again. Blood tests, full body scan, brainwave readings. Everything came back normal. Too normal. One doctor, an older man with white hair, looked at the results on his screen for a long time. "No anomalies," he said. "No implants. No gene mods. No foreign materials. She's baseline, completely." Captain Ruiz stood with her arms crossed. "Then explain the deck." The doctor shrugged. "I can't." They kept Laura in a small observation room for hours. She sat on the bed. She drank water from a paper cup. She stared at the wall. Her mind kept replaying the moment, the blade coming down, Ava frozen, her own hand going up. She had not thought. She had just acted. Late in the station's night cycle, they let her go back to her quarters. The corridors were empty. Most cadets were asleep. A few looked out their doors as she passed. They did not speak. They just watched. Laura lay on her bed. She did not sleep. She thought about the farm, about cornfields, about quiet nights. She wondered if she should quit now. The academy would probably send her home. No shame in it. No one would blame her after what happened. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw the crack in the floor. She felt the metal give way under her palm. Something inside her chest burned. Not fear, not pride, something else. Something that felt old and strong. The next morning, the academy buzzed. Cadets talked in low voices in the mess hall, in the gym, in the classrooms. Everyone had seen the footage. Security cameras had caught everything. The blade, the jump, the hand, the crack, the silence after. Ethan sat with his friends. He did not laugh. He poked at his food with a fork. "I've been wrong about her," he said quietly. Olivia looked at him. "You think?" Jacob leaned back in his chair. "She saved Ava, without thinking, and then she broke the deck. I don't know what to think." In the instructor's lounge, Captain Ruiz met with the senior staff. They watched the video again and again. One officer, Commander Patel, rubbed his chin. "We need to report this up the chain. If she has something no one else has, the fleet will want to know." Captain Ruiz nodded. "But we don't push her. Not yet. She's still a cadet. Let her breathe." They decided to keep the deck sealed. Engineers started repairs, but they worked slowly. They measured. They tested. They took samples. Every test showed the same thing. The metal had failed at the molecular level. Bonds pulled apart. No heat, no tool marks, just pure force from one human hand. Laura went to classes like normal. She sat in the back. She took notes. But now people looked at her differently. Some cadets moved away when she sat down. Others stared. A few whispered sorry when they passed her in the hall. During afternoon combat drill, Ethan walked up to her before the session started. "Hey," he said. He rubbed the back of his neck. I was an ass. Before. A lot." Laura looked at him. "Okay. I mean it. You didn't have to jump in front of Ava, but you did. And then, whatever that was, I don't understand it, but I'm sorry." Laura nodded slowly. "Thanks." Olivia came up next. She did not apologize with words. She just held out a small tube of healing gel for Laura's hands, the ones that had bled from the power pack weeks ago. "Use this," Olivia said. "It works fast." Laura took it. "Thanks." Jacob did not say anything. He just nodded when their eyes met. It was enough. The drills started. Laura fought the same way she always did. Slow, careful, trying hard. But this time no one toyed with her. No one held back just to make her look bad. When she swung her baton, they blocked for real. When she missed, they did not laugh. At the end of the session, Captain Ruiz called Laura to the side. "Medical says you're fine," she said. "Engineering says the deck will take a week to fix. High Command wants a full report. They're sending a specialist team tomorrow." Laura swallowed. "What do they want from me?" "Tests, more scans, questions. They think you might have something rare, something human. Not from tech, from us." Laura looked down at her hands again. "I don't feel different." Captain Ruiz put a hand on her shoulder. It was the first time anyone had touched her like that. Not to check her, not to push her, just to be there. "You might not feel it yet," she said. "But you showed it, and the whole academy saw." That night, Laura sat in the study room alone again. She opened her notebook. She wrote one line. "I don't know what happened, but I know I won't run." She closed the book. She turned off the light. In the dark, she felt something new inside her. Not fear, not shame, something awake. And it was only beginning. The next few days felt strange on Vanguard Prime. The station kept running as always. Lights dimmed for night cycle, meals served on time, drills continued in other sections. but the sealed training deck stayed quiet. Yellow caution tape blocked every entrance. Engineers in heavy suits crawled inside with tools and bright lamps. They measured the crack again and again. They took tiny pieces of metal in clear bags. They whispered to each other and shook their heads. Laura tried to act normal. She woke up early. She ate breakfast in the mess hall. She went to class. But heads turned when she walked by. Cadets stopped talking when she sat down. Some smiled small, shy smiles. Others looked away fast, like they felt guilty. The old jokes were gone. No one called her baseline anymore. No one bet on when she would quit. In the classroom, the teacher talked about alien battle formations. Laura took notes like always. She raised her hand once to ask about shield harmonics. The teacher answered her question straight, no extra pity in his voice. When class ended, a few cadets stayed behind. They did not laugh. They asked her real questions. How did she study so much? Did she ever sleep? Laura answered simply. She did not brag. She just talked. That afternoon, Captain Ruiz called her to a small meeting room. The walls were plain gray. A long table sat in the middle. 3 people waited inside. Captain Ruiz, a tall doctor with short gray hair named Dr. Ellis, and a fleet officer in dark blue uniform named Commander Hale. He had sharp eyes and many medals on his chest. "Sit, Cadet Bennett," Commander Hale said. Laura sat. Her hands rested flat on the table. She kept her back straight. Dr. Ellis opened a folder. He slid a screen toward her. It showed her DNA map, long lines of code in bright colors. "We ran your samples again," he said. "Deeper this time. Not just the basic checks. We looked at everything." She did not know what to say. Dr. Ellis pointed to a small section of the map. A tiny red mark blinked there. "This," he said. "This sequence. It's very old. Older than any gene mod we use today. It's buried deep in human DNA. Most people have it switched off. It stays asleep for thousands of years. But in you, it woke up." Commander Hale leaned forward. "We call it Apex Baseline Resonance. It's rare. 1 in 10 billion, maybe less. No one has seen it active in recorded history. Until now." Laura looked at the red mark. "What does it do?" Dr. Ellis spoke carefully. "When the body faces extreme stress, real danger, not training, and the mind refuses to give up, this trait can turn on. For a short time. It lets your cells grip atomic bonds directly, through touch. You don't need tools, you don't need machines. You just push, and things break apart at the smallest level." Captain Ruiz added, "That's why the deck split. You pressed your hand against the force of the blade. Your body said no. The metal listened." Laura stared at her hands. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to protect Ava." "That's the key," Dr. Ellis said. "It's not anger. It's not power for show. It's pure will, the kind humans had long ago, before we started fixing ourselves with tech. Back when we were just flesh and bone against the world." Commander Hale stood up. He walked to the window that looked out at Earth below. Blue and white, turning slow. "The fleet has spent centuries building better ships, better weapons, better bodies," he said. "We thought that was the way forward. But maybe we forgot something. Maybe the strongest part of us was always there, hidden, waiting." He turned back to Laura. "We want to test you more. Safe tests, in controlled rooms. We need to know how far this goes, how long it lasts, what brings it out." Laura thought for a moment. "Will it hurt?" Ellis shook his head. "No pain. Just pressure. Machines that push, walls that don't break easy. We stop if anything feels wrong." Laura looked at Captain Ruiz. The captain gave a small nod. "Okay," Laura said. "I'll do it." The tests started the next day. They moved her to a secure lab deep in the station. Thick walls, no windows, bright white lights. Engineers set up machines, heavy presses, force fields, blocks of the same alloy used in the training deck. First test, a simple push. A metal plate stood in front of her. It was small, thick, strong. A machine arm pushed against it from the other side. Slow at first, then harder. Laura put her bare hand on the plate. She felt the pressure build. Her arm shook a little. Then something clicked inside her. Not loud, not painful, just a sudden clear feeling, like a door opening in her mind. The plate bent, not a little. It folded like paper. The machine arm stopped with a whine. The engineers shut it down fast. They wrote notes. They talked in low voices. Second test, a bigger block. This one matched the deck alloy exactly. They asked her to press with both hands. Laura did. She thought of Ava, frozen in fear. She thought of the blade coming down. The same feeling came back, stronger this time. A crack appeared in the center of the block. It spread fast. The whole thing split in two clean halves. No dust, no heat, just broken. Dr. Ellis stared. Same pattern, molecular separation, no energy bleed. Third test, speed. They set up a fast-moving arm. It swung a blunt rod at her like a weapon. Laura raised one hand. The rod hit her palm. The arm bent backward. The rod snapped in half. The machine shook and powered off. They kept going for hours. Different pressures, different angles, different materials. Every time the feeling came when she needed it most, when she refused to back down. When she thought only of protecting or standing firm. By the end, Laura felt tired. Not hurt, just empty. Like she had run a long race. Dr. Ellis gave her water and a protein bar. She ate slowly. Commander Hale watched from behind glass. When the last test finished, he came in. "You did well," he said. "Better than we expected." Laura wiped her mouth. "What happens now?" "We report to High Command," he said. "This changes things. Not just for the Academy, for the whole fleet. Humans without mods, we thought they were weak, outdated. But you proved something else." Captain Ruiz stepped closer. "You're still a cadet. No special roles yet. You finished training like everyone else. But the eyes on you will be different now." Laura nodded. She felt strange. Not proud, not scared. Just real. That night she walked the corridors alone. The station was quiet. Stars moved past the viewports in slow lines. She stopped at one window and looked down at Earth. She thought about her parents, about the farm, about corn growing tall in summer. She wondered if they would believe her if she told them. Probably not. Not yet. A soft voice came from behind her. "Bennett." She turned. Ava Ramirez stood there. The small first year looked nervous. She held something in her hands, a small folded paper. "I made this," Ava said. She held it out. Laura took it. It was a drawing. Simple lines. A girl with plain hair standing in front of another girl. A big blade coming down. The first girl's hand out, and the floor cracked below her feet. Under the picture, in careful letters, "Thank you for being brave." Laura looked at Ava. Her throat felt tight. "You didn't have to," she said. "I wanted to," Ava answered. "You saved me, and you showed everyone something, even the ones who laughed before. They're different now." Laura folded the paper carefully. She put it in her pocket. "Thanks," she said. Ava smiled small. Then she walked away. Laura turned back to the window. Earth kept turning, slow, steady, like it always had. Inside her, the old thing slept again, quiet, waiting. But now she knew it was there, and so did everyone else. The news moved fast, across Vanguard Prime. First, the cadets heard, then the instructors. Soon messages reached the outer fleets. Everyone talked about the girl who broke a starship-grade deck with her bare hand. They called it impossible, They called it a miracle. They called it proof that humans still had something special inside them. Laura felt the change every day. When she walked into the mess hall, tables went quiet for a second, not out of fear, out of respect. Cadets who once laughed now nodded hello. Some even asked if they could sit with her. She said yes. She did not push them away. She knew what it felt like to be alone. Ethan Hayes changed the most. One morning he found her in the gym. She lifted small weights alone, the way she always did before anyone woke up. He stood at the door for a moment, then walked over. "Bennett," he said. His voice sounded different. Not cocky, not mean, just honest. She wiped sweat from her forehead with her sleeve. "I wanted to say something," Ethan went on. "I was wrong. About you, about a lot. I thought baselines were weak. I thought you did not belong. But you saved Ava, and you did something none of us could. I'm sorry. Really sorry." Laura looked at him. She saw no joke in his eyes. "It's okay," she said. "You did not know." Ethan rubbed his neck. "Can I ask you something? How do you keep going, after all the crap we gave you?" Laura thought for a second. "I just did. One day at a time. I wanted to prove I could stay. Not for you, for me." Ethan nodded slowly. "Fair enough. If you ever want to train together, no games, just real work. I'd like that." Laura smiled a little. "Maybe." Olivia Grant came next. She waited outside the study room one evening. When Laura came out, Olivia stepped forward. "I brought something," Olivia said. Inside was a pair of training gloves, light, flexible, the kind that protected hands without slowing movement. "You don't have to wear them," Olivia said fast. "I know you don't need help, but your hands got cut bad that first week with the power pack. I remembered. Thought these might stop it next time." Laura took the box. "Thank you." Olivia looked down. "I laughed at you, a lot. I won't anymore." Laura put a hand on Olivia's arm for a second. "We all learn." Jacob Torres waited longer. He did not talk much, but during sparring drills he asked to pair with her. Not to win, not to show off, just to practice. They stood on the mat. Jacob held his baton loose. "No holding back," he said. "Hit me like you mean it." Laura nodded. They moved. She was still slower than him, still weaker in raw strength. But when she blocked hard. When she struck, the baton rang against his. Jacob stepped back once, surprised by the force. "You're getting faster," he said after. "I practice," Laura answered. Jacob lowered his weapon. "I want to learn from you. Not the trait, the rest, the way you don't quit. Teach me that." Laura looked at him. "It's not something I can teach. You just do it. Every day, even when no one watches." Jacob smiled small. "Then I'll watch you, and I'll try." The instructors watched too. Captain Ruiz called Laura to her office one afternoon. "High Command sent orders," she said. "They want you in the graduation trials. Full gauntlet, same as everyone else. No changes, no special treatment." Laura felt her stomach tighten. "Okay." Captain Ruiz leaned forward. "They also said something else. If you pass, really pass, they will offer you a spot in the frontier fleets, not as a regular cadet, as something more. Proof that unmodified humans can stand with the best." Laura shook her head. "I don't want special. I want to earn it, like the others." Captain Ruiz smiled. "That's what I told them you would say." The weeks passed. The broken deck got fixed. New alloy plates covered the crack. The station looked normal again. But nothing felt normal. Graduation trials came fast. The whole academy gathered in the main hall. Seats filled with cadets, instructors, officers. Families watched on live feeds from colonies far away. The air felt thick with waiting. The trials tested everything. Endurance runs, tactical puzzles, weapon drills, team combat. One by one squads went through. Some passed, some failed. Ethan led his team clean. Olivia broke records on strength tests. Jacob finished top in strategy. Then came Laura's turn. She stood at the start line alone. No squad, just her. The rules let her go solo if she wanted. She chose it. First test, endurance. 10 kilometers on a moving track. Gravity changed every minute. Heat rose. Cold dropped. Laura ran steady. Her legs burned. Her lungs pulled hard. She did not stop. When the track ended, she crossed the line, breathing heavy, but upright. The crowd clapped quiet. Second test, tactics. A hollow map of a battle. She had to choose moves for a small fleet against bigger odds. She studied the screen. She thought of her books. She picked careful strikes, hit weak points, saved ships. The score flashed green. Passed. Third test, weapons, pulse rifle, shock baton, hand to hand. She shot tight groups. She blocked fast strikes from training bots. She moved better than before. Not perfect, but strong. The final test waited in the big chamber. A reinforced barrier stood there. Thick alloy. Same strength as starship hulls. The rules said a full squad should hit it together to break through. One person alone had never done it. Not even augmented cadets. The instructor read the challenge. Cadet Bennett, breach the barrier. Any method. Laura walked forward. The crowd went silent. Every eye followed her. She stopped in front of the wall. It rose high, smooth, cold. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she raised her right hand. Open palm, no fist, no anger. Just calm. She thought of the blade coming down, of Ava's fear, of every laugh, every doubt, every night she stayed up studying while others slept. She pressed her hand to the metal. The feeling came, that old clear click inside her. Not loud, just sure. A low sound started, like ice cracking on a lake. A line appeared in the center of the barrier, thin at first, then wider. It spread up and down, perfect, straight, clean. The wall split in half. Two pieces fell apart with a heavy thud. The room stayed quiet for 3 full seconds. Then applause started. Slow at first, then loud. It filled the chamber. Cadets stood. Instructors clapped. Even Commander Hale, watching from the side, gave a small nod. Laura stepped back. She lowered her hand. She breathed out long. Captain Ruiz walked up. She put a hand on Laura's shoulder. You passed, she said. All of it. Laura looked at the broken barrier, then at the faces around her. Ethan clapped hard. Olivia wiped her eyes. Jacob smiled wide. Ava stood in the front row, holding her small drawing, tears on her cheeks. Laura did not smile big. She just nodded once. Thank you, she said, to no one in particular. Later, in the quiet after, she stood outside the chamber. Stars moved past the viewport. Earth glowed below. She felt tired, but good tired. She had not changed who she was. She stayed the same girl from the farm. Plain, normal. Stubborn. But now everyone saw what stubborn could do. And the laughter never came back. The graduation ceremony happened in the main hall of Vanguard Prime. Lights shone bright on the stage. Rows of seats filled with cadets in fresh gray uniforms. Families watched from screens across the solar system. Parents on Earth farms, brothers and sisters on Mars colonies. Everyone waited to see the new officers step forward. Laura Bennett stood in line with the others. She looked the same as always. Plain brown hair tied back. No extra shine on her uniform. No medals yet. Just a girl who had made it through. When her name was called, the hall went quiet for a moment. Then soft clapping started. It grew louder. Ethan Hayes clapped hard from his seat. Olivia Grant smiled wide. Jacob Torres nodded with respect. Ava Ramirez stood up and clapped until her hands turned red. Laura walked to the stage. Captain Ruiz pinned the small silver wings on her collar. The wings meant she was now an ensign in the fleet. Captain Ruiz saluted back. "Ensign Bennett," Captain Ruiz said, "you earned this. Every step." Laura stepped back into line. The clapping lasted longer for her than for anyone else. After the ceremony, people came to her. Cadets shook her hand. Instructors gave small nods. Even Commander Hale walked up. "You have choices now," he said. "High Command offers you a fast track, special unit, training on advanced ships. Or you can go regular. Frontier posting. Your call." Laura looked at him straight. "I want the frontier. Regular duty. No special unit. I want to serve like everyone else." Commander Hale studied her face. Then he smiled a little. "Thought you might say that. Orders are already cut. You ship out on the carrier Horizon in 3 days. Frontier sector. Edge of known space." Laura nodded. "Thank you, sir." That night she packed her small bag. One uniform, a few books, the drawing from Ava. A photo of her parents standing in the cornfield back home. She looked at the photo for a long time. She missed them. But she knew this was right. 3 days later, she stood on the flight deck. The Horizon waited in the docking bay. A big ship, strong hull, crew busy loading supplies. Laura walked up the ramp with other new ensigns. No one stared, no one whispered. They just worked. The ship jumped to hyperspace that evening. Stars stretched into long lines outside the viewports. Laura found her small cabin. She sat on the bunk. She felt the hum of the engines through the floor. Weeks turned into months on the frontier. The Horizon patrolled empty sectors. They answered distress calls. They chased pirate ships. They stood watch against shadows that might be Krathar scouts. Laura did her job. She stood bridge watches. She ran drills. She helped in the engine room when needed. She took the hard ones. One day, a real fight came. A Krathar raiding group appeared on sensors. 3 fast ships. They hit a small mining station. The Horizon answered the call. Captain ordered battle stations. Laura stood at her post in the tactical room. Screens showed enemy ships closing fast. Their weapons glowed hot. The first shots hit the Horizon's shields. The ship shook. Alarms screamed. Crew called out damage reports. The captain gave orders. Return fire. Target engines. Keep them from running. Laura worked her console. She tracked targets. She sent data to the gunners. But the Krathar ships moved quick. One slipped close. It fired a boarding pod straight at the hull. The pod hit. Metal tore. Alarms wailed louder. Intruders inside. Marines ran to fight. But the boarding party moved fast. They cut through corridors. They headed for the bridge. Laura grabbed a shock baton from the rack. She ran with a small team. They met the enemy in a narrow hall. The Krathar were tall, sharp blades on their arms, black armor. They swung hard. Laura's team fought. One Marine went down, another. Laura blocked a strike. The force pushed her back. Her back hit the wall. A big Krathar stepped forward. It raised both blades. It aimed for her chest. Laura looked up. She saw the blades come down. She remembered the training deck, the holographic blade, Ava's face, the crack in the floor. She raised her bare hand. The blades hit her palm. A loud crack filled the corridor. The Krathar blade snapped. Metal pieces flew. The alien stumbled back. Its arms shook. Laura pushed forward. She pressed her hand to the chest plate of the armor. The same feeling came. Clear, strong, old. The armor cracked. Lines spread like lightning. The plate split open. The Krathar fell to its knees. It made a low sound. Then it stopped moving. They looked at their leader on the floor. Then at Laura. The rest of the team rushed in. They took the others down, fast. When it ended, the corridor was quiet. Smoke rose from broken lights. Marines helped the wounded. Laura stood there, breathing hard, her hand unmarked. One Marine looked at her. "How did you do that?" Laura shook her head. "I just did." Word spread through the ship. Crew talked in the mess hall, in the engine room, on the bridge. The ensign who broke Krathar armor with her hand. The captain called her to his ready room later. "Report says you stopped a boarding party leader barehanded," he said. Laura stood straight. "Yes, sir." He looked at her for a long time. "The fleet will hear about this again." Laura said nothing. The captain leaned back. "You could have a command one day, or a special team, but you keep choosing the hard road." "I like the hard road, sir. It feels honest." The captain smiled small. "Carry on, ensign." Years passed. Laura served on many ships. She rose in rank, slow but steady. She never used her gift to show off. Only when lives were at stake, when someone needed saving, when the odds were bad and giving up was easy. Stories grew around her, in barracks on distant stations, in fleet messages. They called her the baseline blade, the unbroken hand, the woman who reminded everyone that humans did not need machines to be strong. Back at Vanguard Prime, new cadets heard her name. Instructors showed the old footage sometimes, the split deck, the quiet after. They told the new baselines, "Look at her, she started like you." They laughed, she stayed, and she changed everything. Laura never went back to the academy as a hero. She did not give speeches, she did not write books. She just kept going. One quiet night on a frontier outpost, she stood outside, under strange stars. Wind blew cold across red dust. She looked up. She thought of the farm, of cornfields, of her parents, older now, still proud. She thought of the deck she split, of the Krathar she stopped, of the people she saved. She felt the old thing inside her, still there, still quiet, still waiting for the next time it was needed. Laura smiled small to herself. She was never the Laughingstock again. But more important, no one else had to be. Because she proved that ordinary humans, plain, unmodified, stubborn, carried the strongest fire of all. And that fire never went out.